This Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions ACC Sports Exclusive is brought to you by the Jefferson Pilot Company, helping to put a brighter face on the future. By First Wachovia, serving the financial needs of individuals and businesses in the Southeast and the nation. By the airline of ACC country, Delta. We love to fly and it shows. And by Coors and Coors Light, beers with a difference worth tasting.
At the conclusion of this afternoon's game, we'll be picking two MVPs, one from Virginia and one from Clemson as Holiday Inn's most valuable players of the game. Holiday Inn will contribute $2,000 to the Atlantic Coast Conference to be distributed among the member institutions under a conference-approved plan. That's the Holiday Inn's most valuable players to be awarded at the conclusion of today's game. Gary Sparber with Roman Gabriel, and this thing started out with some real offensive fireworks. First time Virginia got the ball, they went on a long drive and put it in the end zone.
Well, when you mention long drive, Gary, that sort of hurts the touchdown, all right. We take a look now. Scott Secules, he just makes the fake, drops the ball over there to his tight end, and we got a nice touchdown as Bruce McGonigal shows why he plays so often.
But Clemson came right back and scored.
It's been that way all halftime long. As we see Rodney Williams taking the ball from center, brings it back to his tailback. I believe that's Terry Allen. He follows the blockers on his left side, Eric Harmon, and the big tackle, Ty Granger, just bowls himself over the end zone for a score for the Clemson Tigers.
But Virginia, showing surprising ability to move against the Clemson defense, came right back.
Virginia's not going to give in too easily. They're playing sound football, the kind of football that came into play. Scott Secules, a little toss out here to the right side. He's led here by his fullback, number 40, and that's Marcus Wilson. He barrels through to make the play. Marcus Wilson, touchdown. Virginia fights back.
Let's see what the numbers look like at halftime with Clemson leading 24-14.
Well, first downs you mentioned earlier, 18 for Clemson, only 8 for Virginia. That means Clemson's controlling the ball.
Look at the ground yardage.
Yeah, total offense, too. Jiminy, 310 yards to 164 favor Clemson, 256 on the ground. No turnovers, so both teams are playing error-free football.
Let's see what Virginia has done as far as how they've put it in the end zone. You saw the pass to McGonigal for the touchdown and then the 3-yard run by Marcus Wilson. Just prior to that, a 54-yard pass from Scott Secules to John Ford. On the other side, Clemson, Terry Allen scored the first couple of touchdowns. In fact, he controlled the ball for most of the first drive. Then Tracy Johnson, a 1-yard run, and right before halftime, David Treadwell on the 18-yard field goal.
And earlier you mentioned the long drives. I think of in the second half, you give two people credit for Virginia, John Gamble, the strength coach, and also Gary Wade for Clemson, because both of these guys are in charge of getting these guys in shape, flexibility-wise, strength, and also that extra effort when you get into the third and fourth quarters.
Wesley McFadden, number 22, to receive the kick of Mark Inderlead to get the third quarter started. Clemson has scored 17 unanswered points to lead 24-14 after trailing 14-7. 80,500. Sorry, Roman, I'm
no problem, Gary, because this is going to be a big third quarter. As you recall, we talked about the fact that Virginia only scored 19 points in the third quarter all year long, whereas Clemson hasn't allowed any. So the third quarter is going to determine this ball game, not the first series, but the whole quarter.
Great kickoff by Inderlead. Joe Henderson, who's among the leading kickoff return men in the country, was simply too deep in the end zone to come out, and so Clemson starts from the 20-yard line. And there's Rodney Williams, who all he does is get it done and win. Doesn't have great passing statistics, but they keep winning games, and he runs the option very well.
And you can count on he's consistent. He very seldom has to leave a game. Even if he gets hit hard, he's still there, and his offensive linemen know that. They like the tough customer that Rodney Williams is as a player.
Georgia Tech off quickly against Indiana State in non-conference action today. On first down, the pitch to Terry Allen. And Allen cuts back to the 23-24-yard line. He goes down there after a gain of about 3 or 4 yards, and Ron Carey, the nose guard, was the man who plugged it up.
Well, one of the few times that Ron Carey's been able to get off the center's block, Jeff Back, he did not quit. So they have talked about probably stopping the Clemson offense. We've got to pursue, get off those blocks, and that's what Ron Carey was able to do.
Second down and 6 from the 24. Rodney Williams. Chris Lancaster is the fullback. Williams pulled the ball back out from Lancaster's belly and then pitched it out to Allen, who got a yard before Tony Covington, the cornerback, came up and brought Allen down. It will be third, and depending upon where they mark it, about 4 or 5. Well, let's say 5 now as they put it down to the 25.
All during the first half on that option play, Ricardo Hooper was doing an outstanding job blocking downfield, but that time he wasn't able to do that. So Virginia is coming up awful quick. We could see something deep here pretty soon.
Clemson very dangerous on the option pass. This is 3rd and 5, and this is Terry Allen, and Allen may have gotten the first down with that last little stretch out.
Well, if he didn't make it, it's because Darrell Hammond came in at the last minute, the strong safety, and made a good push on Terry Allen to keep him from surging forward.
He did not make it. George Welsh's Cavaliers hold, and they will get the ball back. George Welsh would love to get the monkey off his back of never having beaten Clemson. Of course, it goes back a lot further than Welsh's tenure at Virginia. As we look at Rusty Siles set to boot it away for only the 2nd time. Tim Finkelstein back deep to receive. Finkelstein runs up to meet it at the 40. Great coverage at the 42-yard line. Just a 2-yard return for Finkelstein after a short 31-yard punt by Rusty Siles.
Cavaliers are coming after this punt. That's why Clemson's people were able to get downfield so quickly. Boy, Tim Finkelstein, he's got 8 red jerseys, orange jerseys, so he does the right thing. He goes down real easily and softly.
Jesse Hatcher doesn't get a lot of publicity, but he is really a solid Clemson player. He made the tackle there. It's 24-14 Clemson early in the 3rd period. We want to let you know that between 2:15 and 2:25 this afternoon, you might have some audio or video difficulty with the transmission of the game. It's not your TV, and it's not your TV station locally. What it is sunspots. It's that time of year again when the earth and moon and sun are in that just particular position that produces sunspots. So you may have some trouble. Nothing you can do about it, but just wait it out. It'll only be a short time. 1st and 10 at the 42 for Virginia. This is Scott Secules. John Ford has the reception, and a great play by Donnell Wolford to knock it out of his hands. Wolford, who might be the best football player all around on this Clemson team, made the big play there.
John Ford has this route run very well. Secules sprints out the right side. But watch Ford. He takes his eye off the ball right there as the ball pounced up just a little bit, but Wolford was in there to break it up too.
So 2nd down and 10 for Virginia. Clemson defense at its best when it's hitting hard like that and intimidating you, along with making the plays. Derwin Griggs is the fullback. Marcus Wilson's got all the way at tailback. Secules still has it. Cuts inside of Raymond Chavis, and Jesse Hatcher brought him down. Gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Raymond Chavis was able to penetrate, which drives the play back into the middle. Chavis comes off of his block and is able to get a hand on the play. Tony Stevens, the nose tackle, he's holding up the middle and makes the stop. That's a good play by Tony Stevens.
Got about 3.5 yards on it. 3rd down and about 7. Secules on a ball possession down. He has Finkelstein right around the 1st down marker. That'll be a 1st down where they spot it. At the 47-yard line of the Tigers, James Earl covered up.
Virginia's coming out, keeping them off balance as they did in the first half. Straight drop back. Finkelstein's going to run a little out pattern over here on the right side. He's wide open. He makes the 1st down as James Earl comes from his linebacking spot to make the stop.
So as they did at the beginning of the 1st quarter, on their first series of the 3rd period, Virginia moving the football. Trailing by 10, but plenty of time remaining. Early 3rd quarter. Off play action, Secules overthrowing John Ford, but he had real trouble with Vance Hammond in the backfield with him. And Secules just said, let me get rid of this before Hammond gets me.
It's interesting coming into this ball game. Clemson had sacked the quarterback 17 times, but they haven't really sacked, but that hurts too. Vance Hammond, he put it on Secules, but the Virginia offensive line has to receive a lot of credit. They have not allowed their quarterback to be sacked all day to this time.
2nd down 10 from the Clemson 47. Derwin Griggs, the lone back. That's Finkelstein in motion. Protection better. Wide open Finkelstein at the 10. How did Finkelstein get that wide open?
James Lott, the corner on that side, tripped and fell. We'll take a nice shot of this right there. Sequels drops back. It's a corner route. He throws the ball in good time and also has great protection. But there's James Lott, the corner. He's just standing there and really doesn't know what's happening. Great pass protection. You got to have it. If you don't get it, you don't get the ball off, and your quarterback gets knocked down. But Virginia's offensive linemen, give them credit. Chris Manier, Roy Brown, Tim Morris, John Fetzko, and Tim O'Connor.
36-yard gain, 1st and goal from the 10. The fullback dive, and Greggs got inside the 8-yard line. And let me correct my call. I believe they can get a 1st down just inches from the goal line. So rather than 1st and goal, it's 1st and 10, but they really have to be nitpicking to get that 1st down and not get it in.
They sure would.
2nd down and a short 8 or a long 7, whichever you prefer, for the Virginia offense, which would give a tremendous lift for the Cavaliers. As you look at Danny Ford, if they could punch it in to start this 3rd quarter. Marcus Wilson in motion. On the roll, Sequels. Runs and gets what he can. Ran right into Jesse Hatcher at the 3-yard line. And that'll bring up a 3rd down and 3 from the 3.
Marcus Wilson came out of the backfield in motion, which meant that he was man-to-man on Donnell Wolford, and I believe that's the only receiver they had out that he could look for, because Sequels now has to run with the football because they only had one receiver. Jesse Hatcher, number 55, makes the tackle. Nice play.
Big play. 3rd down and 3 from the 3. They can get a 1st down just outside the goal line. The pitch to Marcus Wilson. Gene Beasley, the strong safety, was among the Tigers who plugged it up and gave George Welsh a decision to make. It'll be 4th down. We'll see where they spot it. Be right around the 1-yard line. Virginia will have 4th down. I believe they're going to measure, but I don't think he got close enough to get that 1st down. We'll see. He got a little bit better spot than I thought he'd get. But no. Going to be about a foot.
Field goal. As a coach, you go for the field goal here, knowing that your team...
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Not when you're Virginia. You've never beaten Clemson, and you're this close to getting within 3. I think if you're going to do something great like beat Clemson, you ought to be able to make a foot.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got to remember, 3 points on the board this early in the 3rd quarter has to make Clemson think somebody scored on it.
Yeah, but if you don't make it, you leave them at the goal line. We'll see. They go for it.
They're going for it.
On 4th down and a foot. And Greggs is over for a Virginia touchdown, and the Cavaliers are within 4.
First points put on the board by an opposing team in the 3rd quarter of play this year against the Clemson defense. So that really has to make the Cavaliers feel very, very good. They're in this ball game all the way.
First touchdown of the year for Derwin Greggs, and a show of confidence in the Cavalier offensive line by George Welsh. So Inderlead will look to add the extra point out of the hold of Scott Sequels. 9:41 to go 3rd period, trying to draw within 3. 24-21, Clemson by 3.
That's a straight dive to the fullback, Derwin Greggs. You take a look, John Fetzko, number 50, but Greggs gets down low, powers his way into the end zone because there wasn't a big hole. George Welsh, let's see his reaction. He's probably going to put the arms up. He's got to feel happy about that. Well, he puts the arms down and rolls up his newspaper, so that means he's real happy.
For George Welsh, that is a wild display of emotion. 9:41 to go, 3rd period. Back after this for your local ACC stations. Virginia has drawn within 3. First time they got the ball in the 3rd period, that man, Derwin Greggs, punched it over on 4th down and got the Cavaliers right back in the hunt. Well, Danny Ford always tells his press conference on Tuesday and his players later on in the week, don't take any opponent for granted. And Virginia especially, they'd won 3 in a row. They played Georgia tough, played Maryland tough. Nobody's blown them out. And certainly Clemson's not doing it today.
And I really don't think Clemson has taken them for granted, because all you had to do is look at what Virginia's done the last 3 weeks, how balanced they are, the kind of football team they have, and the way they're coached. Then you shouldn't be too high or get too low about preparing for a team like the Cavaliers.
Joe Henderson to the right of your screen, Wesley McFadden to the left, both very dangerous kick returners. Mark Inderlead boots it off. This is Henderson, a yard deep. Look at the speed of Henderson. And Henderson all the way out to the 47. 48-yard return. Bruce McGonigal, who earlier scored a touchdown on a pass reception, made the stop.
Henderson does this so well. He's back on his own goal line, looks this one in, comes off the left side. Dan Pearman, one of the starting tight ends, he's going to make a block, as you saw right back there in your screen. And now Henderson's going to do it on his own. He turns it on back to the right side. The guy can actually run while both feet are in the air. Unbelievable. Good stop by the Cavaliers to keep him from going all the way.
They recruit a little bit of running talent at this place.
They got all kinds. They can give us some of it.
At the 46, 1st and 10 for the Tigers, 24-21 Clemson. And there's the scoring drive for Virginia, culminating in the touchdown run, or dive as it really was, by Derwin Greggs. A big play, that play where Lott fell down and CQ was able to go to Finkelstein for 36 yards. He may not show all the emotion, but I guarantee you that heart is pumping in George Welsh. And now we've got an injured player right where apparently that play ended, or during the kickoff return, and we just cannot see who the injured player is amongst all the people looking at him. That's Ryan Jackson, guy they can ill afford to lose because they're already going without cornerback Keith McMeans, a starter at the strong side cornerback. Jackson's the guy who's filling that hole, and just everybody who's in a key spot for Virginia, except CQ, it seems like, has gotten banged up today.
Well, their next guy is Jason Wallace, number 7, a freshman. And I'm sure that somewhere along the line, if that continues to take place, Clemson will probably test him.
Look at Wake Forest. They are out of reach of 2 touchdowns. And on 1st down, Wesley McFadden got about 2 or 3 yards out to the 49, and Ron Carey, the nose guard, plugged it out. But how about those Deacons?
Oh, it's unbelievable what they're doing, but then again, it's very believable because they're coached well and they're playing hard football. Jeff Lageman on that play, he did what the Cavaliers have to do. He's got to come from the inside linebacking position and fill it right away. He's not able to wait for the Clemson people to block him. 2nd down 8, Rodney Williams on the roll, will run, and Elton Tolliver got a piece up near midfield. It'll be 3rd and 6. Chris Stearns was also there as you look at Tolliver. He's a fine football player, a sophomore. He gets all over the field. He'll take your head up, but he's the kind of player that the Cavaliers want to continue to have on their football team, because it's still a long ways to go.
Here's one of those 3rd down and longs, 3rd and 7 for Clemson. They have not converted these well. In the slot, that's Ricardo Hooper. McFadden in motion. Williams over the middle, completes his pass. I believe that's the tight end inside the 25, James Coley. 27-yard gain from Rodney Williams to James Coley. Very rare for Clemson to go to the tight end this year.
Good protection here as Rodney rolls out left side, and a good receiver to go to, because Clemson had only completed 1 pass to the tight end in this particular situation. And as you see here, James Coley makes the most of it because he might not see another one all game.
From the 23 of Virginia, 1st and 10 for the Tigers, trying to answer the Cavaliers score. Rodney Williams on the pitch to McFadden, and a great play by Tony Covington. Or was that Hammond? Let me check on the number. Darrell Hammond, the strong safety, senior out of Center Cross, Virginia, on the stop. Just at the original line of scrimmage, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. And Danny Ford wants to talk to the folks up in the booth.
Gary, the defensive back that replaced Ryan Jackson is a strong safety. David Cardenas, he's out on the left side, number 23.
Tracy Johnson, the fullback, got out of the grasp of Elton Tolliver and finally was run down at about the 15-yard line by Loggeman.
Well, you can stop Clemson once, maybe twice, but then they just keep coming at you and pounding on you and doing the same kind of things that they've done all year long. But you've got to line up and say, hey, we're going to take you on and try to stop that. If not, they're going to continue to do it.
3rd down and 4 from the 17 of Virginia. Big play for the Virginia defense. The fullback dive, and Tracy Johnson, I don't think, got to the 1st down marker. Let's wait until they unpile. David Griggs and Chris Stearns combining on the stop. 4th down and less than 1.
Well, they went for this kind of thing in their own backyard early in the 1st half. Are they going to do it again?
Very tough to stop Clemson in this situation. With the blocking fullbacks that they've got, the offensive line, they go on 4th and 1.
Look for the option, or maybe the quarterback sneak again.
And Rodney Williams gets the 1st down and more to the 11-yard line. The option it was. David Griggs on the stop. You know, an awful lot of publicity on the problems Rodney Williams has had throwing, but not nearly enough on his success on the option.
I agree with you, because he's going to go where he likes to go, behind John Phillips and Jeff Nunemacher on the option play. Makes the right decision. He keeps the ball, gets the 1st down.
1st down and 10 inside the 11. And like Virginia on their drive, Clemson could get a 1st down here just outside the goal line. Wesley McFadden running hard down to the 2. 2 key blocks on that play. Eric Harmon, the left guard, coming around the bend. Here you see him, 76, boom. And there's Tracy Johnson, the fullback. 2 key blocks by those Clemson Tigers. They say his knee went down at the 3. 2nd down and about 2 from the 3-yard line. 24-21, Clemson by 3 midway through the 3rd quarter. And the dive by McFadden got to the 2. Danny Ford sending Chris Lancaster into the ball again. Undoubtedly, well, not undoubtedly, but very likely to lead this next play.
There's not a whole lot you can tell your defensive group in this particular area of the field, other than if you want it more than they do, you'll get the job done. So you got to tighten up your belt and get after them.
3rd down, about 2. There's Lancaster in motion. He leads the play. Tracy Johnson for a Clemson touchdown. Maybe they will come up with some way to stop those 2 fullbacks when they're in tandem on short yardage, but I sure don't know what it's going to be.
Nobody really has, and they run that same type of a goal line short yardage play. They just make it work with perfection and don't make mistakes.
David Treadwell adds the extra point. The Clemson lead is back to 10.
Lancaster leading the way. Watch John Phillips and Jeff Nunemacher on the right side. There they are, coming up the pipe. Tracy Johnson with the ball. They just moved the whole right side of the line out, and a great block by the tight end for Clemson.
You know, he didn't make a great block, but it's not the first time we've seen one of those tailbacks stick his nose in there as a blocker. Wesley McFadden was in front on that play. 31-21, Clemson, a good one going. 31-21, Clemson over Virginia. That much time left in the 3rd period. We want to remind you we're right in that period of time where you might be having some audio or video difficulty. It's not your television set. It's nothing your local station can control. It's those sunspots or sun outages, an atmospheric condition that will pass in the next few minutes. And if you're not having the problem, pay no attention to it. There's the scoring drive, 54 yards. Used up a lot of clock, the Tigers did. And Tracy Johnson on the 2-yard touchdown run to put Clemson back up by 10. There's Tracy Johnson, Kannapolis, North Carolina product. excellent, excellent blocker and becoming quite a ball carrier as well. And there is Rusty Sile. Ready to boot it off again. Derek Boyd back deep, has been all day. Boyd will start from his 5. Fumbles it. Now get what he can. Fumbled football. Who's going to get it? Tigers say they have it. They do. Tyler Grimes, #1 headhunter on the Clemson special teams. Grimes knocked it out. Doug Brewster picked it up.
Ball was fumbled here on the kickoff. He tries to take it up top there. See the ball knocked out of his hands there by Reggie Harris, who has been a monster on the kickoff team. And that's what they were looking for, because a break, the first one of the game, first turnover by either team.
A chance for Clemson to open it up now as they start from the Virginia 17. They give to Terry Allen, and Allen fumbles the football back to Virginia, I think. Yes, the Cavaliers get it right back, and we still have a ball game. Just when it looked like the Cavaliers were about to fall maybe out of it, Clemson says, no, this is too much fun.
Fair play is turnabout. Terry Allen following the fine blocking of Eric Harmon and Jeff Back. Pops up the middle there, and it's stripped out. As you see, the ball goes down on the ground. So we got 2 turnouts. Ray Savage was the guy. Watch Savage, 56. He's back in the game. Or is that Tolliver, 54? He makes the stop, and they recover. Now we're even up on turnovers, and it should be that way.
So Virginia has it back on the 12, and the crowd really fired up by all of this. Marcus Wilson, Otis Moore wrote him down, I think. Or was that Michael Dean? Michael Dean Perry, we'll see. Now Otis Moore did make the stop. 2nd down and 9. Virginia's still in very dangerous territory. They are deep in their own territory, down by 10. They can ill afford to give it back to the Tigers. Second down 9. Secules. Open is John Ford. And Ford dodging his way up across the 25 to the 28-yard line. James Earl over there to bring him down. 19 yards from Secules to John Ford.
Well, you'll see why Scott Secules is having a great year with a lot of pressure back down in his own end zone. There's McCullough putting the pressure on. He still delivers the ball on time. John Ford makes the play, but that play, I think, was made as much by Scott Secules as anybody else.
John Ford, only a junior, #2 in career receiving yardage at Virginia, came in at 1,462 yards. 1st and 10. Wilson in motion. Derwin Greggs, and grabbed by the nose guard, Tony Stevens. Gain of a couple. It'll be 2nd down and 8. 2:48 to go, 3rd period.
Yeah, the push-up king, he's at it again. Guy's got to get tired sometime.
He's gotten a lot of business today. He does the push-ups after every Clemson score. Joel Dempsey in motion. Secules in trouble. Did a good job to get rid of it and almost completed his pass. Going to Dempsey with Rusty Sharpie covering on the play.
That was quite an effort because a linebacker was on him. Jesse Hatcher coming hard with nobody had blocked him, and Rusty Sharpie did come up to try to make the play, but Secules almost got the ball in there anyway.
Flag is down.
We got off the defense offsides, 5-yard penalty. Still be 2nd down.
It's a big play for Virginia. Brings up a short 2nd down situation, and after that wild turn of events with the 2 turnovers, the Cavaliers able to march it out from deep in their territory.
It's kind of down you like to have this period of the 3rd quarter. You could possibly look for something a little different, but Virginia's doing what they need to do well, moving it on the ground and with the pass.
2nd down and 3. Derwin Greggs didn't get much, only about half a yard right into the middle of that Clemson defense. You know, we haven't seen much of Michael Perry or talked much about Michael Perry today. Chris Menier, well, we'll take a look at Perry here.
Well, Perry's still coming off the ball very quickly, but here he's double teamed. He's got 2 people on him, but he's still battling. That's the key to a great defensive line.
Well, that was 74 Chris Menier blocking him. Offensive line coach Tom O'Brien told Menier during the week, you want to be a professional offensive lineman? No problem. Just block Michael Perry this week.
Hey, that's a great comment, and I bet he said, don't worry, if he gets by you, we'll have another guy on him too.
Menier did the job that time, though. 3rd down and 2. And look at Michael Dean there. I think he heard us talking about him. And James Locke broke up the intended pass. Michael Dean says enough of this.
That's about the 2nd or 3rd time that he's gotten there just a little late. Dean Perry coming on the cadence. He really has a knack for that. But Scott Secules, he just gets rid of the ball, and that's what they've asked of this real big, strong quarterback. There's Jesse Hatcher there at the last minute, but it's hard to get a sack when the quarterback throws the ball that quickly.
So 4th down, and the Cavaliers do have to punt it away with Fred Carter coming on, but they did get a few first downs and are able to push Clemson back if the punting team does the job. Joel Dempsey has a little bit of a sore leg, although he's playing tight end, so Fred Carter punting today. Low line drive. Bouncing around at the 28-29 yard line of the Tigers. A flag is down on the 35-yard punt. Clemson might get set back further here. Could be a clip or a hold or something against Danny Ford's team. That's what Danny thinks.
He's one of the calmest, coolest customers around, though. Not too many things shake him up, and his ball club projects that image.
Virginia just a big play or two from being right in the hunt for their first win ever over the Tigers, but they are down by 10 with 1:32 to go late in the 3rd quarter. Dale Phillips tells us that it was a clip against the Tigers that will set them back.
This is a time of the game when the official comes to the sideline and you want to know who did the clip. We didn't see him. Give us a number. Give us a name.
Whoever did it will see it on film and be told about it.
You better believe it.
Clip by the receiving team before the ball was possessed. That's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, and it'll be a 1st down.
Well, there's the kick by Carter. Not a pretty one, but at least it's not going to be returned. And 92, Doug Brewster, a freshman linebacker on that special team, was the one that got called for being the culprit.
Number 23, you saw on your screen, David Cardenas was down quickly to down the ball, and they still haven't decided where to mark it as George Welsh looks on. Welsh knew that if his team could get through its first 2 games against Georgia and Maryland in one piece and play well in those games, they would have a chance to have a good season. They did.
That was a post-scrimmage kick foul, and it'll be the receiving team's ball, 1st and 10.
Yeah, that apparently is what they were trying to determine. Virginia might have had a shot to get the football, so they had to talk about it a little bit.
Well, they'll get it marked off now. As we were talking about, Virginia then rolled off 3 wins in a row the last 3 weeks against Virginia Tech 14-13, Duke 42-17, and VMI last week 30-0. And Danny Ford not happy about the ruling. He does not like the mark of the ball at all, and the Tiger fans up to support Danny Ford.
Well, one of the few times you'll see Danny Ford not being calm, cool, and collected.
What'd you say about calm and cool?
Calm and cool.
Well, obviously, this is a situation where Danny is not trying to get the next call. He genuinely feels he's right on this one.
That's one thing about him. That's why you won't see him doing this too often unless he feels he's right. And that's the same thing with most coaches. You feel like you're right, you want to be heard. Bring somebody over. I want to talk to you.
Good job there by the referee, Dale Phillips, to come on over. And you saw Danny say, okay, let's play football. But he's still going to talk it over.
How would you like to be an official?
I've never wanted that.
No way.
Not at any time.
They should put white shirts on them rather than stripes, and then people would think they would be good guys.
You said that. 12-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Tigers. They are backed up. 1:32 to go, third period. Clemson 31, Virginia 21. Wesley McFadden, the tailback, and Elton Tolliver cut through and brought him down for a 2-yard loss. He has really been a difference maker the past few weeks for Virginia's defensive line.
Tolliver on the right side, defensive end. He just brushes through, takes the gap, puts the shoulder pad right there on Wesley McFadden. McFadden goes nowhere. That's the way it's supposed to be done, folks.
Good job by Tolliver to beat the block of Ty Granger. 2nd down and 11. This is McFadden. And McFadden is written down at the line of scrimmage. David Griggs, the linebacker. It'll be about a 3rd and 10. And in the final minute of the 3rd quarter, you can feel the tension begin to build here at Tiger Town. Tiger fans know that this Virginia team is serious about this one and has a shot. It's a 10-point Clemson lead. Clemson led by 10 at halftime. Virginia led 7-0 and 14-7. They got a little more yardage on that than I had thought. 3rd down and 8. Rodney Williams overthrows Gary Cooper. It'll be 4th down.
Made the bad choice, went to the wrong guy. He had Keith Jennings, his flanker, in about a 10 to 12 area, wide open, which would have given him the 1st down.
So the Tigers have to punt from deep in their territory. And Rusty Sile, who won the well-documented punting battle before the season, he's number 6 in the ACC in punting. 36.7-yard average. There is Tim Finkelstein. Cavaliers, barring a mistake, should get very good field position. Finkelstein from his 48. He got what he could. 4-yard return after a 37-yard punt. And Stacy Fields in on the stop. Tracy Johnson as well from Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Virginia had the block on, so as a result, Finkelstein was on his own, and he did about what he had to. He caught the ball and made as much as he could out of it.
7 seconds left, 3rd period. Back after this for your local ACC stations. 31-21, Clemson over Virginia by 10. Another very interesting ball game going in the ACC at Chapel Hill. Wake Forest to North Carolina, and at the half, Wake Forest by 12. And the Wake Forest defense has done a good job against Mark May. Mike Elkins having a better day than May so far. First play of the 4th quarter here. 1st and 10, Virginia at the Clemson 27. And Derwin Griggs off the pitch, running hard, and got about 5 or 6 yards. Gene Beasley ran him out. Now, on that last John Ford catch at the end of the 3rd period, he became Virginia's all-time leading receiver. He has 1,570 yards, moving in past Dave Sullivan. Ford has also now caught passes for more than 100 yards in 4 games in his career, and that is a Virginia record, and Ford still has a year to go.
Well, that last play, Gary, Joel Dempsey, the tight end, was able to seal it off so they could make that yardage.
2nd down and 5. Secule still, no, Griggs, the fullback, has it and got about 3 or 4 yards. Close to a 1st down, about a yard or 2 shy. Raymond Chavis covered up Derwin Griggs. Secule's done a pretty good job today, not only passing the ball where he's 9 of 20, but also running the option.
Secule today is as good a quarterback as I've seen in the ACC, and that includes Mark May, Mike Elkins, Steve Sladen at Duke. Secules has got a lot of poise because he's had to do it against a great football team and with a lot of pressure.
3rd down and 2, and Secules doesn't like what he sees. Timeout for Virginia, the first that Virginia has used in the 2nd half, and that is one that I'm not saying he shouldn't have called it, he may have needed to, but one they may wish they had later on. Clemson by 10, back after this for your local ACC stations. It's been a fun afternoon on homecoming day here at Death Valley 31-21. Clemson over Virginia. Long way to go, and Virginia threatening with a 3rd and 2 at the 19 of the Tigers. Griggs and Marcus Wilson behind Secules. This is Wilson, big hole, and Wilson has a first down at the 14-yard line. James Earl eventually covered up at the middle of that Virginia offensive line. Blew open the hole.
The right guard, John Fetzko, Tim O'Connor, the right tackle. They get into their people. They have what they call a combo block as 82 Dempsey comes down the tight end. They clear it out of the way there for the first down. Big play for Virginia.
Boston College over Army by 12. 1st and 10 at the 14 with John Ford in motion. Secules rushed, throws, and the pass is incomplete. Broken up, intended for Keith Mattioli. Broken up down there, I think, by Beasley. I'm not sure. But Mattioli, the intended receiver. And it will be 2nd down. It was Beasley who knocked away the pass.
Virginia's very lucky they didn't get their first sack on that particular play because Secules got smacked real hard, got the ball off, and a great catch there could have been had, but Clemson was all around him. Beasley put the pressure on, was able to make the hit, knock the ball out.
2nd down and 10. Ford in motion. The draw to Griggs, and he's hit right at the line of scrimmage by Michael Dean Perry.
Even though we haven't been talking that much about Michael Dean, you can see here that he's still a force. He comes off that football as quick as anybody, slips through the gap, makes the stop of Derwin Griggs. Plus, Michael Dean has had a lot of pressures on the quarterback. Secules has just gotten it off so quickly at times that he hasn't gotten his sack.
He really has. That has been the key. He really has gotten rid of it in a hurry. 3rd down, 13. Secules. Plenty of time. The pass is thrown underneath the coverage and complete to the 9-yard line. A flag is down, though.
Mattioli and Ford were moving out here on the left side. The ball was snapped a little too quickly. Secules didn't take a look to make sure his receivers were ready before he had the cadence go.
The pass was to Finkelstein, but we'll check the flag. Likely will set Virginia back 5 yards. 12:57 to go. 31-21 Clemson. Now a holding call against Virginia, so they'll go back a little bit further than that.
Ford and Mattioli here, they're not set. As you see, Ford drops, or Mattioli drops back, and the ball was snapped before he was set a count.
But that would not have been what they called. They must have had someone with maybe the minor penalty and then someone with a major penalty because they called holding.
I know, because the guy out here called the motion and someone inside must have called something else.
Either way, it's not good for Virginia. They march back to their 27. They have to get to the 9-yard line, I believe, for a first down. So it is 3rd and 18. Secules to throw. For Ford, picked off by James Lott, and Lott across the 35, and Lott across the 40. James Lott. 35-yard return.
John Johnson makes a nice block here. Actually, the ball's thrown a little too late, and Ford really didn't get into his man enough to drive Lott off, but Lott makes a great play. That's what you're supposed to do, drive on and accelerate. There's John Johnson out front, makes the block, boom, and we have a big play by the Clemson Tigers. Keith Mattioli got across to help out on that tackle.
Well, that could be a real difference maker in this game. Virginia was threatening, but now Clemson has it back with a 10-point lead.
James Lott will come in here and make this interception. John Ford's going to try to make the reception. Secules gets the ball off a little too slow, and James Lott makes a nice interception there. John Johnson leads the play on down the field, and Clemson has that football.
1st and 10 for the Tigers with a 10-point lead. Terry Allen on the carry, a good hole, and David Griggs just knocked him with his shoulder, and down he went. Saw the strength of Griggs there. like the way Terry Allen runs. He just gets right through that hole, no monkey business, just straight north-south.
Well, he and Allen must be roommates because they both run so similar, trying to get as much as they can upfield, straight down the pipe, and they don't really miss one when the other one's in there. It's an interesting concept.
Joe Henderson's not too bad either, the third stringer. 2nd and 4. Tracy Johnson is wrapped up at the line of scrimmage, and then Ryan Jackson came over to help out Chris Stearns on the tackle.
Two-back offense, both guys lined up together. Tracy Johnson's going to come right side behind Terry Allen. I don't know whether Allen's the blocker that Tracy Johnson is, but the fullback here, he's carrying it. He's still going to make a couple of yards falling forward as Chris Stearns makes the tackle for the Cavaliers.
11:25 to go. 3rd down and 2. South Carolina, a touchdown up on Virginia Tech. Tracy Johnson has the first down. David Griggs wrapped him up, but the forward progress beyond where he needed to be for the first down.
One thing that we know Clemson does well, when they have to move the ball, they seem to do it. They want to run the clock down, and we got some scores here for you. Georgia Tech 17 at halftime, Indiana State 0.
Auburn running away from Vanderbilt now in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10 Clemson, under 11 minutes to go now. Terry Allen bounced off Lagerman and then got what he could, which ended up to be about 4 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
Looked like a ping pong ball coming off of a big paddle that time. Terry Allen's going to go right side over John Phillips and Jeff Nunemacher. Behind the center, Jeff Bach takes the ball from Rodney Williams. Bingo. As you see, Lagerman, he didn't wrap up. You got to hold on. Just because you're big and strong, that doesn't mean you can knock somebody down.
Clemson's already over 300 yards rushing on the day. 2nd down and 6. Allen once again blocked from Tracy Johnson. He only got a yard or two, but Elton Tolliver made the stop. I'm going to tell you what, Tracy Johnson just leveled Darrell Hammond. That is not Hammond, that is Ron Carey.
That's one of those knockdown blocks. That's what Clemson likes to talk about. Their offensive line coach, quarterback coach Jack Crow, and Larry Vanderherd, and they like to talk about those knockdowns.
I know it's not funny from a Virginia standpoint, but it was a block and a half. Third down, about 4.5.
I don't think we mean it to be funny. No. It's just a point we're making on the knockdown concept.
Yeah. They bought it. 3rd down, 4.5. Now under 10 minutes to go in the game. Terry Allen wrapped up before he got to the 1st down marker. It's going to be 4th down. That was Preston Hicks, a junior out of Beaver Dam, Virginia, who made the stop. Be real honest with you, they've got those jerseys tied up in the back, and at times it's tough to tell which of the Cavaliers did it. We're going to have to tell them, you want to be on TV and get your name called, don't cover up that number in the back.
Get the knot out of the back of the jersey. Preston Hicks, he's been playing pretty good football. He's been in the 2nd half and doing a good job for the Cavaliers.
So it's 4th down, and Virginia theoretically will get the ball back deep in its own territory, depending upon what the Tigers decide to do. Clock running all this time, 9:12, 9:11 left to go. And Clemson just on this position in the field, content to let the clock go as far down as it could, take the 5-yard penalty, and really give Rusty Sile 5 more yards to try to hang it up around the goal line.
They would like to see that ball drop in about the 10, roll down to the 1, and have it covered. But, of course, Virginia would like to pick it up on the 1 and go 99 yards with it and get back in the ball game.
Tim Finkelstein's done a good job returning punts today against the excellent Clemson coverage.
Cavaliers would like to block this one, too. Would give them great field position.
Pretty good hang time on this one by Sile. And what a job by James Earl. James Earl, who's one of the best athletes on this team, down that punt inside the 5. 41-yard kick.
He's calling for the fair catch, trying to throw the Clemson people off, but there's James Earl. This is the big part. The agility, catches that and drops it back so Clemson can down it.
Virginia's got a long way to go with just under 9 minutes to go in the game. At the conclusion of today's game, we'll be picking 2 Holiday Inn most valuable players of the game. 8:57 to go. You look at part of the 80,500 throng that is on hand at homecoming here at Death Valley. 1st and 10 for the Cavaliers at their own 3-yard line. Marcus Wilson got up to the 5, and that's about all. Flag is down, illegal motion against Virginia. Clemson can put them back closer to the goal line or decline it, make it 2nd and about 7 or 8. Normally in this situation, you'd say the Cavaliers be content, as we'll get the call here, to get a couple of first downs.
We have illegal motion on the offense. Penalties declined. Be 2nd down.
Yeah, there's not very far to push them back where they are now on the field. Usually a couple of first downs, you'd be content, but with 8:51 to go in the game, down by 10, Virginia simply has to get on the move.
They've got to try to bring the football out of here and get a little more comfortable position and then mix their offense in just like they would be if they're on the 50-yard line.
McGonigal in motion on 2nd and 8. The pitch to Marcus Wilson, and he is pulled down by Otis Moore. I'll tell you about the 3rd-string defensive line for Clemson. Otis Moore was in on more stops than anybody last year on the Clemson defense. They've got a 300-pound nose guard named Angelo Fox, and they've got Vance Hammond, who was a high school All-American. That's their 3rd-team defensive line.
Their 3rd group of winners. That's what they like. Oh. They're not 3rd-teamers. They're 3rd groups of winners. They're something else.
They will wear you down. 3rd and 7. Big play for Virginia. Secules on the roll. For Ford. Oh, and it was just beyond his reach. Donnell Wolford and Richard Smith covering on the play, but had the pass been thrown just perfectly, Ford might have gone a long way.
This is a great call by the Virginia staff. They have Ford down the pipe. They rolled Secules out left side. Now he's got to throw a difficult pass to throw it back over the middle to the right side. That was a great call and almost paid off for him. But give them credit. That's just I mean, you thought they would go with a first down. They went for it all.
One of the things Virginia wanted to do to avoid the pass rush is have Secules throw from different parts of the roll, and he's done it today, as he did there, to get some time to throw from different places on the field. The punt to Donnell Wolford at his 45. Wolford trying to get by the picket fence. A flag is down. Kevin Cook brought down Donnell Wolford, but the flag may set them back. It was a 48-yard punt and a 13-yard return pending the flag.
The young punter, Fred Carter, he came through when he needed it, kicking out of his own end zone. A 48-yard punt. They needed it very much so.
To expound a bit on what I was saying, on Virginia's offense, they don't want to roll out to the same place every time. Half roll one time, roll the entire way another time. Don't let the Clemson defense know where Secules is going to be on every play.
No, you don't want to have them have that chance to take a beat on you. But on that particular play, when he goes left side and now you're going to throw a ball 50 yards to the right down the middle, that's hard for any quarterback to do.
Well, Clemson has the ball back with a 10-point lead and 7 minutes and 36 seconds left. It's been a long day for Danny Ford. That's all that remains in what has been an extremely entertaining football game. Virginia trying to do something they've never done. And you look at one of the reasons they've never done it. They just don't do well total yardage-wise against that powerful Clemson team. 323 yards on the ground for the Tigers. Never have beaten Clemson. Virginia hasn't. Wesley McFadden ran into Jeff Lagerman and a host of other Virginia tacklers. Got about 4 yards, and this is the point on the field where Danny Ford likes to just run that clock and grind it out. Not that he doesn't like to do that all game, but they'll accentuate it a little more here.
And gives you an idea how powerful the Cleveland, I'm thinking Cleveland Browns, unbelievable.
They look like them sometimes.
Well, how powerful the Tigers are, because going into this game, the defensive units for Virginia had only given up 120 yards a game since Georgia.
McFadden again. McFadden across midfield. McFadden tiptoeing down the sideline. He stepped out of bounds upfield, though, at the 45, which is where they'll mark it. Kevin Cook ran him out.
Wes McFadden takes the pitch out, coming around the right side. He's got some nice blocking set up for him. He almost goes out. James Coley, the tight end, gave him a good shot, and he's bumped out by the Cavaliers there to save a touchdown.
You could see him step on that sideline.
Gary, let me try that last one again. Going into this game, since the Georgia game, the Cavalier defense only gave up 121 yards per game on the ground. And look how much Clemson has already accumulated, over 300 yards.
Yeah, but what the Browns have to do with that? Here's a gift to McFadden, who got about 3 to the 44. It'll be 2nd down and 7. And the tackle was made by David Griggs.
Virginia's defense reminds you a little bit of the Browns defense. They've got the same color scheme. Close, right?
What'd I say it was, 2nd down and 7?
You got it.
6:34 to go. I'll buy it.
Okay.
Tigers really trying to put this one on ice. It's been an excellent ball game, but now Clemson leading by 10. If they can grind it out here, can just about finish off the Cavaliers. McFadden cut inside of one tackle. David Griggs eventually brought him down. Chris Stearns thought he had him behind the line of scrimmage, but McFadden with just a nice little move to get upfield. Virginia actually had the lead here, 7-0 and 14-7 after 1, but a big second quarter for the Tigers. Virginia's played them even in the second half, but has not been able to make up the ground. Under 6 minutes to go now. And a big play upcoming. 3rd down and 4 for the Tigers. Virginia must get the ball back, obviously. McFadden, look at the blocking. Look at that blocking. You could drive a tractor through there.
James Coley, there's another example of the knockdown block. James Coley, the tight end. Watch him take out his guy on the right side. John Phillips is pulling around the corner. But there's James Coley. He's able to stretch around, run around the block. There's the knockdown, and McFadden makes a lot of yardage.
1st and 10 at the 34-yard line of the Cavaliers. Down to 5:24 to go in the game. Virginia was riding a 3-game winning streak coming in. Clemson is, of course, unbeaten. McFadden hit hard as he got in there, and Elton Tolliver taking out a day's worth of frustration on that play. You see what Allen and McFadden have done today. They are ahead of the pace of any combination of Clemson tailbacks to this point. We're talking about people like Flowers and Flagler, Flowers and Driver, McSwain and Austin. There have been some awfully good combinations here at Clemson.
And these two, Allen and McFadden, they just might be the best by the time this season is over. Gary, what the Cavaliers need to do now is first guy make the hit, hold the fellow up, the running back or the fullback, and let somebody come in and try to strip it. The first guy's not going to strip it. Need the second guy to do that.
The ball was never snapped, and Rodney Williams called for time. You think Danny Ford doesn't know what to do when he gets the lead? Since Clemson's had a 10-point lead, they've run the ball 20 consecutive times.
Why not?
Well, why not? That's right.
Consistency.
Especially if you're gaining yardage. You do that at some schools and the fans holler at you, but if you gain yardage, it works.
Down here, the Tiger fans are football fans. They just want to win. Whatever it takes, do it and win, Danny. That's what we want out of you.
Get the penalty call here.
We have a false start on the offense, 5-yard penalty.
Everybody moved but the center. Rodney Williams was trying to call timeout. Everybody else pulled back, and Danny Ford going to be happy to get a win, but he'll have a few things to gripe about in the post-game press conference.
Well, whenever Clemson is over 200 yards rushing and they're approaching 400, they're 54-6-2.
Wake Forest continues to lead the Tar Heels, 19-7. 2nd down and 12. Allen. Good speed. 1st down. And Terry Allen inside the 10. Ray Savage eventually got help from David Cardenas and ran him down, but a 28-yard run.
Left guard Eric Harmon coming out from the left position, pulling around the side. Watch him make the block. There it is, just enough to get that speed of Terry Allen. And now Kevin Cook saves the touchdown. Tremendous effort now by the Cavaliers to keep him out of the end zone, because you never know. You might recover a fumble before they can score, and the game is still on.
Now, there was a flag down on the play as well. And we have a clip against the Tigers. That will set them back. That's the thing I think Danny Ford's going to be most unhappy about, the number of penalties his team has had today.
Yeah, he's very upset. As you can see, he never takes his head off too often, except
unless he's indoors.
That's it. And when he's upset outdoors, he gets a little cranky, which most head coaches do whenever there's a mistake.
It actually ends up to be a 2nd down and 1. South Carolina scored again, leading by 14 over Virginia Tech. Williams had trouble with the snap, and so he went forward and got as much as he could out of it. And I tell you, all this does is make it a slower death for Virginia, because Clemson gets a 1st down and has more field to kill time with.
Even though Clemson's controlling the ball and they're up by 10 points, what's upsetting is to see this late in the year a bad snap.
Bad snap, penalties.
Yeah.
The offense of Clemson has not gotten it all together, despite all the success they've had this year.
Still a few things that are missing. The snaps have got to be a little better and knock out some of the penalties, and they're going to be a very awesome football team.
1st and 10 from the 23. Rodney Williams telling Gary Cooper, "We've got 11 men, thank you." They had 12 on the field. Cooper got off, and now Henderson, Joe Henderson, shows you some of that speed as he goes right up the middle, close to another 1st down inside the 15-yard line of Virginia.
Eric Harmon coming from left to right, the left guard. He's scooping across to your picture here. Here's the cut out of the I formation. You read it, you got to have that peripheral vision. And Henderson, a young guy, he's already learned that from McFadden and Allen.
He may have had some of it when he came down from Freehold, New Jersey, too.
He had about 1 eye's worth. He now has 2 eyes worth.
All right, all right. 393 yards rushing for the Tigers today.
That's an awesome figure.
It is. It really is. Tigers will be 5-0, and this was another.
We have a sideline warning.
Sideline warning.
Oh, that's that new rule that they put in several years ago, Gary. The Cavaliers have got to move back. See, they're all up there on the sideline and not supposed to be there. See where Clemson, they're on their white pad about 4 yards off the sideline.
2nd down and 2 for the Tigers. 2:19 to go in the game and the clock moving. Henderson ran right into David Briggs. May have gotten a 1st down out of it. One of our Holiday Inn most valuable players of the game from Clemson, Terry Allen, well over 100 yards rushing today. And he got a lot of his yards when this thing was very much in doubt, as it has been most of the day in the 1st half. Terry Allen on the first few Clemson drives did most of the ball carrying. They didn't get the 1st down. It's 3rd and 1. The pitch to Joe Henderson. Look at the blocking in front, and Henderson gets to the 8-yard line. Now flag is down, so they may call this one back. .136 to go in the game. Looked like a holding indication against the Tigers.
Ricardo Hooper, number 26, the outside receiver, he was involved in that penalty.
I want to say a thank you to the folks up here in the booth with us. Ginger Littlejohn doing our spotting down here at Clemson.
We have holding on the offense. We have a dead ball foul on the defense. The penalties will add and subtract.
Oh, I like that, the way he explained that. Now, that's different. It's not just 2 penalties, 1 on offense, 1 on defense. We got an add and a subtract one, so now we'll play the down over.
Our other most valuable player of the game, there you see him, Scott Secules, the Virginia quarterback, who under adverse circumstances, and anytime you're playing the Clemson defense, those are adverse circumstances, Secules really did a solid job today. And Holiday Inn will contribute $2,000 to the Atlantic Coast Conference to be distributed among the member institutions under a conference-approved plan in the names of Terry Allen and Scott Secules, our Holiday Inn most valuable players of the game. Danny Ford's gotten to know these officials rather well today.
Most coaches will try to do that so that rather than say, hey, you, if you call them by their name, then they're more apt to come over and talk to you.
Our first final score, Boston College held off the Army by 5. Here is Clemson on a 1st and 10 with 1:26 to go in the game. This is Joe Henderson cutting back, and Henderson inside the 5 to the 2-yard line. Want to remind you, next week we'll be in Raleigh for the renewal of one of the outstanding rivalries in the ACC, the Tar Heels and the Wolfpack.
And since you brought that up so that we can go back and visit with Dick Sheridan and Coach Crum, especially Sheridan, someone told us at the end of the game last week that Sheridan was calling timeouts. It wasn't Dick Sheridan. Bobby Ross of Georgia Tech was calling the timeout.
Now we should tell you more about that here, which we'll try to if we have time in a moment. Second down and short. Henderson, a Clemson touchdown. That's the exclamation point.
Pitch the ball back to the right side. We're going to see a little bit more of this. Joe Henderson, some nice blocks in there by James Coley and Chris Lancaster. Okay, the inside backers, what are we going to do? Cut them off. They try to pursue. Jeff Lagerman coming to the left side, but he's going to get cut off right there before he makes the tackle. It's a little too late getting there.
An absolutely perfect drive in the way that not only did they score the touchdown, but they used just about 7 minutes of the clock. And that's what you want to do there as David Treadwell makes it 38-21. What we were trying to say a few moments ago, last week North Carolina State had the lead over. Look at 22-7, Wake Forest over North Carolina.
Oh my goodness.
No yardage for the Tar Heels in the third period. Wow.
I'll guarantee you one thing, in that game next week, Carolina will be as high as a Ferris wheel. So was State.
Oh, no,
it's going to be an exciting football game.
Yeah, but that's not over yet. They've got a quarter left there at Chapel Hill. Remember what they did against Georgia Tech? They were down 20-3. The kickoff here, fumbled. Virginia will get as much as they can. Darrell Wynn has been busy on the kickoff return team. Gets it up to the 27-yard line. Remember, North Carolina was down 20-3. So Georgia Tech came back and won. Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions, under an agreement with the Atlantic Coast Conference, holds exclusive television rights to ACC football. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, duplication, or reception of this broadcast without the express written permission of Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions is prohibited, and the announcers of this game are selected and approved by Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions. 35 seconds left. Secules to throw, and the pass is complete to Tim Finkelstein across the 40 to the 45-yard line. Virginia hurrying up to the line of scrimmage with just 27 seconds left and down by 17. Forty-five-yard line. Now they're set to go. 1st and 10. Secules has time. The pass is complete again to Finkelstein. Scurries out of bounds at the 48-yard line of the Tigers with 19 seconds left.
Gary, you give a lot of credit to the Virginia offensive line. They've performed well all day long, done a super job. Chris Menier, Roy Brown, Tim Morris, John Fetzko, Tim O'Connor. They have done a super job keeping out the Tigers so that Secules can stand back and get the ball off.
On 2nd down, Secules to throw, and almost picked off. James Earl had a shot at an interception there, but he could not hang on with 14 seconds to go. It'll be 3rd down. The Tiger does push-ups after every Clemson scores, and that's a job that will get you in shape.
It better get you in shape or you're going to lose some of your arms.
Secules, 11 of 26 for 195 yards, was not sacked today. And that's partially Secules and partially some good work by the offensive line. Pass is complete underneath to Finkelstein again at the 42-yard line of the Tigers. That was a 1st down. That stops the clock with only 6 seconds left. I want to show you a little bit of what happened last night here at Clemson, a yearly tradition, Tigerama. As you look at some of the fine folks who help us put on the ball game every week, Quasa Star, who keeps us in line throughout the ball game. Terry DeCarlos does a great job on the technical side of things. And there you see the scenes from last night, Tigerama. The theme of it was daytime television. They named a homecoming queen, and 40,000 were on hand. That's more than a lot of folks get for their football games. They get here for Tigerama, and they doubled that today. Ken Neal and Jill McDivitt do a great job on the graphics that you see throughout the game. Tom Howard helping us out here in the booth as the stage manager. And the rest of the Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions crew. And Scott Veals, who said to me this week, make sure you mention my name one of these times. Well, Scott, you got it. Back in Charlotte watching on. And James K. Flynn from WBT in Charlotte, whose voice you hear at the beginning. And thanks to those people as well. 6 seconds left here. 1st and 10 for Virginia. Sequels on what might be the final play of the game. Oh, is he going to get sacked for the first time? No, gets rid of it. And the pass is, I think, incomplete after all of that. And that's the ball game. Most entertaining game we've seen this season. 38-21. Good effort by the Virginia Cavaliers, but Clemson stays unbeaten.
Clemson came in with the idea to move the ball on the ground, to establish something, keep the momentum going. Virginia did what they wanted to, but what happens? Clemson outscored them.
Clemson now 5-0. George Welsh had his Cavaliers well prepared here today, but in the final analysis, that Clemson offensive line just too much for the Virginia front line. They rolled up the rushing yardage.
Too much inexperience on the defensive side for the Cavaliers, but look for them to be back. They're going to be a strong team by the time the end of the season rolls around.
So 80,500 see Clemson win on homecoming day at Tigertown. Clemson 38, Virginia 21. Back after this for your local ACC stations. A quick update, Wake Forest still leading North Carolina 22-7 in the second half at Chapel Hill. Next week, North Carolina and North Carolina State in Raleigh, the traditional rivalry renewed, and we're looking forward to that one, a 12 noon start next Saturday. The final score here, Clemson 38, Virginia 21. The Tigers remain unbeaten, and this has been an exclusive copyright presentation of Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions.